Aisa, we can start now.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. We bid to our respected guest speakers for today, Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan, the Dean of Faculty of Law UiTM, and Dr. Nurul Bariza, the Dean of Faculty Hukum University of Airlangga, as well as Bu Indah, our respected moderator for today, lecturers and attending audience. And University Technology. For today's session, we will delve into the topic of international webinar on legal education amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically, Dr. Hartini will enlighten us on UiTM's experience on shaping the new legal education amidst COVID-19, while Dr. Nurul Bariza will discuss on the matter of University of Airlangga's experience in actualizing legal education during COVID-19. Before we begin, be reminded for the audience to mute their microphones and fill in the attendance form for the e-certificate issuance purpose. The form link has been shared to the session chat box. Without further ado, we shall begin with our opening speeches. First, I would like to invite Dr. Nurul Bariza to present her opening speech.
Okay, thank you very much for Aisyah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Her Excellency Associate Professor Dr. Hartina Saripan, my best friend, the Dean of the Faculty of Law UiTM, and also distinguished guests from different parts of Indonesia and Malaysia, distinguished professor, academics from both faculties, distinguished participants, and all the students from both university, Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga, and also UiTM, Faculty of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let us praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the only God is worthy of our worship, the most generous and merciful, which has given us heart in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic that is sweeping the world. But we are all remain in good health, and we can meet and share in this international webinar for the conference on legal education. Salawat and salam always directed to the messenger of Allah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, which guide us to the true path. For distinguished professor, student, and participant of this webinar, it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this very important webinar on legal education amid COVID-19 pandemic, jointly organized by University of Airlangga Faculty of Law and University of Technology Mara, Malaysia, Faculty of Law. Hope that we can discuss and share experience on how to save our legal education in the era of COVID-19 pandemic and after that. Distinguished participants and students, we, the Faculty of Law, Airlangga University, and Faculty of Law, University of Technology Mara, Malaysia, has long-standing cooperation in many aspects of academic life and student activities, which I believe beneficial to both our parties and institutions. Our student now is still there for student exchange in Malaysia, and I don't know, honestly, on how to express my gratitude, my thanks to you, the Professor Hartini, for caring our students so well, yeah, during this pandemic, and I believe that they are staying in healthy condition and safe. Thank you very much indeed. And also to all our colleagues there in University of Technology Mara. Usually we also meet with Deputy Dean, Ibu Dr. Hafsa, Siti Hafsa, Ibu Dr. Norma, and Dr. Rafiza as well for caring the student. Thank you very much. Distinguished participant and student. We are also have our exchange program. I mean lecture program. Every year we send our lecture to UITM. Otherwise, UITM lecture also come to our campus, Universitas Airlangga. And it's worked very well indeed. Furthermore, we are also organizing international conference together annually, in which the result of this conference usually in the publication of international recognized journal article. And this contact is very necessary for both of us, including a quality of academic reputation within the institution. Besides that, our lecture also have research collaboration with some of lecture at the UITM Faculty of Law. This program also very significant to enhance our academic excellence and to empower Universitas Airlangga as research-based university. I believe it also very beneficial to University of Technology Mara. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, this international webinar is also one of the examples of the implementation of our partnership and cooperation. It was inspired by the spirit of sharing experience on how to developing a best practice in shaping and running legal education in the era of COVID-19 pandemic. It is indeed uneasy on how to face this situation in which all sectors of our life are affected by this pandemic, including education, higher education, and legal education as well. Facing this situation, we shall have a new blueprint, new strategies, and new standard of procedure in all aspects of our faculty life. This standard, this procedure, and this blueprint shall be in accordance with a health protocol and also with another aspect of regulation within our country itself or international regulation as well. In developing this strategy, we need honestly that looking for many aspects. As I told earlier, that looking for global aspect, international perspective, WHO rule, our country new laws and policy, the Minister of Higher Education policy, local government rule, as well as university policy, and how to make up the policy into one single policy in our Faculty of Law. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I just would like to share a little bit about the city of Surabaya during this COVID-19 pandemic. Why is Surabaya? Because this Surabaya is a city in which in where University Airlangga is located. No, it's not in this country. I mean, in this city, Surabaya is not implementing physical distancing anymore. I mean, there is no lockdown anymore. There is no territorial lockdown. There is no quarantine. Or something like that. But the problem is the number of people with COVID-19 positive is still increasing from time to time, for day to day. And because of that, we need to be careful facing this situation. On the other hand, the policy from Indonesian government that we have to enter into a new normal era. Because of that, campus and universities shall adapt and adjust with the new normal situation. We are going into semester break soon, and during this semester break, we have to decide new strategy for the next semester. considering Surabaya situation and its surrounding, it is very unlikely to have many students in normal campus. Online teaching is one of the best alternative mode of teaching, and we maintain our administrative at full capacity to support a range of services. It's not only teaching, but also academic pursuit, seminar, public discussion. This academic atmosphere still there and exists. That is one of the objectives of this seminar, that students, staff members, colleagues can engage in the productive activities in sharing ideas and experiences, greet each other to make sure that academic life is still here and there. And although it's just only through distance learning and webinar, but it is not barrier for us to access many things, including access to knowledge, information, and as well as education program. Hope that the seminar can strengthen academic cooperation between us, and another series of seminar lecture with different topics will come after this. And to all participants, I hope that we can engage into discussion which enable us to gain advantage through this seminar. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Nurul for the opening speech. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Hartini, the Dean of the UITM Law Faculty, to deliver her opening speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you so much, our MC Aisyah Rizal from UITM, and later we will have Ms. Indah Camelia from UNAR. What a beautiful teamwork. Congratulations to both of you. Saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Dr. Nurul Bariza, my dear friend, my good friend from UNAR, Dean of UNAR. So first of all, it is my great honor to be here to virtually meet all of you today. And on behalf of UITM and the Faculty of Law, I would like to thank my good friend, Dr. Nurul Bariza, and the Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga, for accepting our invitation to co-host this international webinar. I hope our strong partnership, our strong strategic partnership will continue to prosper, flourish, and thrive in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned by Dr. Nurul just now, UNAR and UITM Law have started our relationship long time ago. I think it was in 2017 when we commenced our student, staff and student mobility program, and the collaboration has further extended to co-research, co-publication, as well as co-host of conferences, which demonstrates a coherent and consistent alliance between our institutions. And today marks another strategic collaboration despite the unprecedented circumstances brought by the pandemic. And I'm very excited to hear from Dr. Nurul, which I'm sure will be very beneficial for us to learn. In turn, I will also share our experience in UITM in dealing with, in facing and bracing this pandemic and the extent of transformation that has been brought by this global outbreak. One thing for sure, ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic has pushed us to redefine international collaboration, to reshape international initiatives and partnership. And I hope our international webinar today will be the beginning of our new normal in respect or with respect to international collaboration. Borders may be closed, geographical borders may be closed, but that will not stop us from virtually engage and having a very good knowledge transfer session like this. Once again, congratulations to both UNAR and UITM Law. Thank you, Dr. Nurul. Thank you to the amazing and committed teams from both institutions for making this event a reality. We hope to have a very fruitful session and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Hartini. Without further ado, we shall begin with our discussion. I will first introduce our moderator, who will be introducing the speakers. Bu Indah is an assistant professor in University of Airlangga, whose research and teaching focus are on the subjects of law of the sea, maritime law, and public international law. I shall now pass this session to our moderator for the day, Bu Indah, to proceed with the discussion.
Thank you, Asia, for the introduction. Today, 11th of June 2020, in the lovely bright morning in Indonesia and noon in Malaysia, we met here for attending virtual webinar on the topic of legal education amid COVID-19 pandemic, collaboration between Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga, and Faculty Undang-Undang, University Technology Mara. Before we start our seminar today, I will read the code of conduct during the seminar as guidance for all the participants. 1. Please turn off your video and audio during the seminar. Please turn off the video and audio for all participants. 2. Please do not share anything in the share screen. 3. We encourage you to use a chat box on the Zoom or YouTube Live if you have any question, and please write down your name as well. 4. Moderator will read your question to address by the speaker. However, in case we cannot address all the speaker, we apologize beforehand due to the time limit that we have. So, come back to our session, the main discussion. And today I'm so happy here for having our two wonderful main speakers. Both of the speakers are a top leader of respected and reputable law school in Indonesia and Malaysia, Ibu Nurul Barizah, PhD, and Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan. Good morning, Ibu Nurul.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Hartini. Okay. Thank you. Before we start, I will briefly read the CV for both our speakers. So I will start with Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan. Dr. Hartini Saripan is an Associate Professor of Faculty of Law, Faculty Undang-Undang, University Technology Mara, Shah Alam, Malaysia. She served in IUTM for almost 18 years and currently as a Dean of IUTM Law. She read law at the International Islamic University Malaysia, research work on cyber law focusing on electronic commerce and digital signature law. She has later expanded the work to delve in intelligence technology law, a specialist on robotic law and artificial intelligence. Her research work were funded by several national grants, including the Fundamental Research Grant SIM and Niche Research Grant Scheme, and she also awarded with other grants by external and internal funder such as Jawatan Kuasa Pembaharuan Undang-Undang Malaysia. In addition, she supervised master and PhD candidate in the area of the law governing rehabilitative and assistive robot, as well as research work at international and national conferences such as in Istanbul, Shanghai, Bangkok, Singapore, Jakarta, has also authored and co-authored several articles in the flagship and indexes journal. As a pioneer researcher of robotic law and artificial intelligence in IUTM, she hoped to develop the dynamic area in order to prepare Malaysia for numerous and unpredictable technology innovation and revolution. That's the CV of our first speaker, Associate Professor Hartini Saripan. And the next, I will read our second speaker, CV, Ibu Nurul Barizah, PhD. Ibu Nurul Barizah, PhD, known as a former academic Vice Dean of Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga, where right now she became a Dean since 2019. She earned her PhD and master degree from University Technology Sydney, Australia. Ibu Nurul awarded an Australian Alumni Award in 2012 from Australian government for the category of Excellence in Education. It because her significant contribution of the development of law and well-being. In her area of expertise, intellectual property rights, intellectual trade law, and international dispute resolution, she already published scientific writing on many journal, conference, and research paper. Due to her expertise, since 2019, Ibu Nurul appointed as the head of Appeal Commission for the National Office of Protection of Plant Variety under Ministry of Agriculture, Republic of Indonesia. And in 2018, she selected as a member of the Board Governors of International Association of Law School, IALS. That's the brief CV from both our speaker. Without delaying our time, let's start our discussion. I will give for both our speaker about 15 minutes, maximum 20 minutes for both speaker to present their presentation. And the first turn I will give to Madam Hartini. The time is yours. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So before I start my presentation, allow me to share my screen, to share my slides, yeah? I have slides to share. Can the host allow me to share the slides? Because I think host disable participant screen sharing.
Yes, we will probably it take a couple seconds so you can share.
Okay, can you see the slides?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ibu Indah. What a beautiful name you have, yeah, Indah Camelia.
Thank you, Ibu.
So today I am going to share with all of you on our experience in bracing this global pandemic. And the topic of my presentation today is COVID-19 Shaping the New Normal in Legal Education, UITM Laws Experience. So before I proceed to discuss on our initiatives and strategies in bracing the pandemic, let me just share with you some facts and figures to those who have yet to know UITM. These facts and figures could actually give you some idea on our institution. Basically, we are humongous. We are huge with almost 180 students. This data is actually as of March this year. So the recent data, the total number of enrollment of our students is approaching 200 students. That is around 180 students. And we have more than 17,000 staff with almost 1 million graduates. We have over 800,000 graduates with more than 500 programs, 35 campuses, and 26 faculties. So we are very huge. We are a very big institution. We are the biggest in Malaysia. And Alhamdulillah, despite our huge size, we have achieved several achievements with respect to the world ranking as well as the ASEAN ranking as a result of full commitment from everyone at our institution. So basically we have improved our ranking in Asia for 2020, and we have also achieved the University Impact Rankings this year. This is very recent. So we are between 400 to 600 in the world and top 10 in Malaysia. And as far as the research work is concerned, because UITM, University Technology Mara, we are not research universities, unlike University Malaya or UKM, University Kebangsaan Malaysia or University Pertanian Malaysia. But Alhamdulillah, again, as a result of solid teamwork, we have actually raised our rating in our research assessment this year. And this is some facts and figures about our faculty. And I was told that we have more than 200 participants so far. And to those who have yet to know our faculty, we are located in Shah Alam in the state of Selangor. And we have generally offered, we are offering 6 programs, and at the undergraduate level, that is S1 level, we offer LLB program, that is our niche program, and we also have Bachelor of Legal Studies program, that is non-professional program. The total number of our students, we have more than 2,000 students with more than 80 lecturers as well as 18 staff. So ladies and gentlemen, when the pandemic strikes us at the beginning of this year, law schools, like everyone else, have been forced to respond to this unprecedented situation. So when our Prime Minister declared the first MCO, that is Movement Control Order, on 18th of March 2020, all of us went through the phase of crisis management. So this MCO was declared under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988. And now, after so many phases of the Movement Control Order, we embrace the fact that the pandemic is a threat as well as the opportunity. So in order for us to brace the new normal in the law school, we have to acknowledge both threats or dangers as well as opportunity or some silver lining behind the cloud. So as far as the threats are concerned, It is undeniable that COVID-19 has challenged the way justice is dispensed. Law is taught at the law school and legal service are normally delivered. So we uh, when the first MCO was declared, literally all sectors were closed. Courts, our judiciary courts were closed. Higher institutions, schools, businesses, they were all closed. And that actually forced us to think out of the box, to do something beyond our imagination. And a very big question here is that what existing legal culture or legal norm remain is very challenging to be answered, because I think the right question to be ventured by the law school like us is, what are the new norms that basically arise as a result of the pandemic. And when it comes to the job market, including the legal industry, most of the experts in the world claim that automation will eliminate many jobs and replace them with new ones that requires new skills, mindsets, and agility. So these are some of the threats that we law school, we management lecturers at the law schools have to venture and find the answer. Like I mentioned just now, we have to look at the silver lining behind every cloud. So we have to acknowledge that there are some opportunities that we can grab that force us to do something that we have never done before. And we would be surprised as to what extent we could actually transform in a blink of the eye. When we speak about the opportunities, we are talking about harnessing the potential of underutilized tools and alternative work paradigms. So this pandemic has actually transformed and reshaped the way we work and shift from traditional work nature to something that is novel, that I believe most of the law schools in the world has never ever ventured. More interestingly, students and lecturers experience a greater level of learning and interpersonal connection, which demonstrates a potential power of asynchronous learning technique. I will deal with these later in our next slide, in my next slide. But basically, when we transform our way of teaching to open and distance learning mode of teaching, we have actually leveraged both synchronous, such as video conferencing like this, and asynchronous method that is using a very simple technology. The very basic reason is that as much as we are eager to transform ourselves and to reform to something new, something novel, something that everybody could actually gain access to it, we have to also remember that our students, our staff, our lecturers may be facing some predicaments and challenges that may include a lack of internet facilities. Some of our students, they don't have enough or sufficient mobile data. And most of them, when they had to go home in March, they went home without their learning materials. So we have to take all those factors into consideration in strategizing our method, in delivering our curriculum and executing our assessment. And last opportunity is the accessibility of online learning in education. This is also the fact that we have to admit when we reform our way of teaching to online teaching, it is undeniable that it can be accessed by students, staff, lecturers from anywhere, anytime. So the level of accessibility may be increased, but we have to caution ourselves on the predicaments that may be faced by the students. Now, in supporting the reformation in UITM, Alhamdulillah, we are very lucky because last year, our top management, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor's Academics Office, has actually come up with this initiative, what we call Education 5.0 at UITM. And we have 5 pillars: coherent and relevant curriculum, to innovate delivery, to innovate teaching, delivery and assessment, to give a meaningful and enriched learning experience to our students, to transform learning environment of our students, as well as to create inspiring educators among our lecturers. So these 5 pillars become the foundation of our reformation when we had to really transform very fast and quickly adapt with the new normal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about transformation, something that we at the law school should actually bear in mind is what are the core competencies of graduates that we want to produce. Because whether we like it or not, graduates that we produce must align with the need of the industry. And COVID-19 has actually amplified the challenge for the higher learning institution, for the law schools, to ensure that our graduates are equipped with the necessary competencies for them to work later. So when we had our transformation and reformation in UITM, there are several competencies, or there are several things we had in mind. Number one, we are talking about the change of our mindset. Now, having said that this is unprecedented, having said that we never actually encountered such a situation before, a mindset plays a very important role to execute any reformation and transformation. I am blessed that I am working with wonderful people at the faculty and at the university, that all of us, we are very positive, no doubt. Problems, challenges are always attached to whatever transformation that we want to make. But I think the change of the mindset is very important. So we have to take things positively and be strong. And that actually relates to the change of attitude. So we have to be humble because all this is a very humble experience for all of us. Now, none of us knows the answer. Even the answer as when are we going back to normal? Some experts says that legal education will never be the same after COVID. So what does it mean? It means, it will never actually go back to our normal situation, face-to-face teaching. So all these actually requires us to be humble, to be resilient and strong in facing the pandemic. Now, next is rescaling and upscaling. Now, this is very important when we want to 100% shift our face-to-face teaching to online teaching. I think this is something very challenging to all of us at the law faculty. And I believe it is not only law faculty, UITM, this is a global issue that all of us lecturers, we have to reskill and upskill, particularly our teaching pedagogy to really suit what we call the pandemic pedagogy that we are going to execute this semester. And Alhamdulillah, we are actually approaching end of the semester. The semester will end in July, and the lecturers will complete everything in August. Alhamdulillah, so far we are coping very well, and our students, despite the challenges, we are very proud of them. They are coping and trying their level best to brace this difficult time. Now, another change that really affects the core competencies of our graduates is basically the curriculum delivery and assessment. Now, we had a very thorough meeting on this, especially on how we want to deliver our curriculum, how to reform the structure of curriculum delivery as well as assessment. So we are not only talking about how to make sure the course learning outcome of every course is achieved despite the fact that the courses are taught online. We are also discussing about how to make sure every assessment designed by us achieve the students' learning outcome, and more importantly, will be able to be executed successfully by the students. So this is something very important and very significant, that we spend so much of our time deliberating on this at the beginning of this year. Now, we are also talk about service delivery. Like I mentioned just now, we are talking about how we navigate this situation. We have to change the way we work. So when the office was closed, totally closed in March, we have to think of how to make sure our operation is still, lifeline. So we have to think how this office work can still continuously be settled. So I am very blessed that the admin staff is also very up. They are very up to this challenge, and we have actually done so many strategic meetings in order to put in place the best or the most practical solution in order to deliver our service to our customers. And all this change will not be made possible without the extreme support from the ecosystem. So we are talking about the support from UITM's top management, the faculty's management, lecturers, students, alumni, and last but not least, from parents. So this is how basically strategically we map our initiatives at the faculty. Initially, in March, we were at the stage of crisis response management, crisis management response strategies, where we had so many engagements with our lecturers and students. And we always engage our students because it is very important to understand their needs and to map the strategies that we have with their challenges and predicament. And I think so far we are at the stage of resilience plans, where we need to make sure that we brace and we embrace this new normal, because we have to be ready that face-to-face teaching will not we will not be having face-to-face teaching at least until end of the year. The government of Malaysia and the ministry has already announced that we will be having open and distance learning, teaching, learning and assessments until December this year. So this is no longer crisis management stage. This is already resilience stage, where we have to face the fact that things are not going to go back to normal as yet. Yeah. Now, communication is very important. This is something that we at the faculty really focus on, to make sure that whatever information is being narrated accurately to our staff as well as students. And I think this is the crux of every successful execution of any strategies at any higher learning institution. Now, we also have what we call this task force, C19 ELEARN at UITM Law Task Force. And I think what is more important to be highlighted here is that we believe that this task force should be the synergy of lecturers, admin staff, as well as students. So for that, I think the task force is being basically we have engaged, and we have few categories of people in our task force, not forgetting our students, to make sure that we always align and map our strategies with the challenges and predicament faced by our students. So these are some documents that we have released since beginning of this year. We have quick guide to e-learning. We also have guidelines to e-learning, and our quick guides are prepared for lecturers as well as students. And we also have some video tutorials prepared by lecturers. So this is very interesting because this pandemic really pushed us to do something that we never imagined that we could do. All these documents, videos were prepared 100% by our lecturers, and these are law lecturers. We don't have any technical backgrounds, so I am very proud, to have been working with them. We have also developed our own URL, our own websites, what we call UITM Law Standing Together website. And this is a one-stop information center for our students to gain access to any information pertaining to open distance learning.
Ibu Hartini, could you please make it a bit shorter?
Yeah, how many minutes I have?
Probably less than 5 minutes, is that all right?
Okay, yeah, okay, sure. So basically, despite this pandemic, we believe that engagements have to be continued. So we have something like this in UITM. We have arranged many webinar series. And this week we are going to have, I think today in the afternoon, tomorrow, next week, we will have more webinar series. This webinar is very important to make sure that all of us in the ecosystem are engaging and keep ourselves updated to the issues that are important. Okay, so basically this is the summary of our ODL is open distance learning up to the 5th week of our open and distance learning starting 13th April until 17th of May. Alhamdulillah, the involvement of our students are basically roughly around 90%. And like I mentioned before, we have leveraged both synchronous and asynchronous platforms, taking into account that synchronous platforms per se may be challenging for our students to gain access because that will consume their data, and most of our students they have difficulty in getting high-speed internet and sufficient mobile data. So another aspect is support. Alhamdulillah, I think with a very strong synergy of the ecosystem, our student affairs department with our academic departments, I think support is very important for our students. This is basically Alma and Viga. Alhamdulillah, they are safe and sound here. I think our lecturers, alumni, we work so hard to make sure that the affairs of our students are being taken care of. And this is very important. Like I think recently we've conducted live webinar on mental well-being, because we have to admit that as much as we are talking about reformation or reforming legal education and transformation, another aspect that is very fragile to deal with is the mental well-being and mental health. So we at the faculty, we are very up to this, and we want to provide as much support as possible to our, not only to our students, but also to our lecturers and our staff. Challenges, I think I've dealt with this before. So we actually turn threats to opportunities. I will give these slides to you later. And I think this is a very important quote for us to understand. The contours of the legal world are taking shape. There are challenges and opportunities. Those who upskill and adopt a learning for life mindset will find opportunity. Legal industry will be reimagining, embrace the challenge. So mindset is very important. We have to turn threats and the dangers to opportunity. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ibu Hartini, for the presentation regarding how IUT, and particularly in Malaysia, face the challenging and provide resolutions how to face pandemic situation of COVID-19. And the next one will be from the presentation from the Dean of Faculty of Law Universitas Airlangga, Ibu Nurul. Ibu Nurul, please, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu Indah, for being moderator this afternoon, and as well as Mas Kuku for arranging this webinar with Mbak Aisyah from UITM. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, everybody. And really, it is a very good seminar that we can talk and share experience on how to run the legal institution, legal education in the midst of a pandemic. Before I talk about how our legal education, Faculty of Law, Universitas Airlangga, facing this COVID-19 pandemic and how to address this situation, I would like to share about the condition of the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in Surabaya. As I told you earlier in my opening remarks, that the reason why I have to tell about Surabaya, because Surabaya is one of the big cities in Indonesia where the University of Airlangga is located. And the data of Surabaya about the pandemic positive is affect our policy and how we have to address this situation. In Surabaya today, we saw that the total number of confirmed positive is 3,600. For this confirmed positive, 3,627. It is honestly that very high compared to another city in Indonesia, except Jakarta. And the number of patients in care in Surabaya is about 3,512. And the person in monitoring is 4,040. Since a pandemic, we did not come to campus, and now it's almost 3 months. I believe that many of us are very, very miss to campus, would like to come and miss the student. Based on our research last few weeks, it shows that the students miss the lecture very well, miss campus, and need to talk, to discuss, and to have engage in normal ways. That's one of the what we call our survey to our student. That the survey is we conduct the survey to show whether the student had a significant impact in the pandemic virus, whether their family are affected, and etc. And education staff also must working from home. Students must also study at home because Surabaya and its surrounding cities sets a policy known as what we call is a pembatasan sosial berskala besar, large-scale social restriction or social distancing. It is like a lockdown, but specific to certain region, that Surabaya and Sidoarjo, the place which airport is located, and Gresik. This certainly has a significant impact on level of education in the city as well as higher education and faculty of law as well. On the other hand, we should also realize that actually education cannot be left behind, and we must able to guarantee that the right to education must be fulfilled under any circumstances, because this is part of fundamental right of our citizen, our student. Access to education must also be fulfilled, and therefore we have to move forward, move quickly to face the massive and dynamic changes in this context. In dealing with this situation, we also cannot set a policy according to our own wishes, but we must pay attention to global and international dynamic rules set by WHO, national rule, Ministry of Higher Education and Culture and policies, local government rule, health protocol, and university rule. But you know, sometimes in Indonesia, the policy among institutions are different each other. That's one of the problems that make us confused on how to set up our policy. But that is the reality that we are facing now. Our rector already decided that campus is closed. Campus has been closed for 3 months from now. But this close is in context or in the meaning of physical. But in the reality, we move our operation online. So we are working online. We are all busy online, do many things online, but at home, not at campus. Campus physically closed. No student enter into campus, and we have to ensure that the student did not come to campus. For students who were at home, it was forbidden to return to Surabaya. And for those who are in Surabaya, we must ensure that they are safe and not affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We also to ensure that all students also, that live in healthy environment, fulfill their food or something like that. And in this context, lecturer and academic staff also must work from home. So we are working from home. Participant of this conference, then university decide to deliver material in teaching and learning by using online, using existing technology. And since then, we have to use various variations of online teaching technique and format and form a coach for learning online. I think these strategies are more and less similar with what UITM did. We are also form a coach for online learning, and those were responsible for this situation during the pandemic in the level of managerial. The role of Aula, we have Aula. Aula is what we call a program, that online program that we set up for online teaching, and this we already has before the pandemic COVID-19 appear and spreading throughout our globes. And the role of Aula is very important in this COVID-19. Fortunately also that before pandemic spread, we have required our courses to have 10% minimal to be teaching by using online technique. Because of that, some lectures in our faculty, we have 100 lectures in our faculty. Some of them are already familiar with teaching online. They are already accustomed with teaching online, but most of them are not familiar. So we give courses to all lecturers about online teaching before we decide of using online teaching. So in the last semester, all classes and all courses use online, except courses related to practice, which cannot be replaced by online teaching and process. So there is some teaching that must be postponed, like moot court, legal clinic, legal skill, lawyering, and some type of course that are related to practical lawyer. And it will be complete in the next semester. We enter into semester break now. We are going to enter into semester break now, and I think it's similar with UITM. And we have to set up new policies and strategy right now. Participant of this webinar, interestingly, during this pandemic, we had success in inviting our university partner to give lecture through online from Malaysia, from University of Technology Mara, Faculty of Law, from Australia, from United States of America, from the Netherlands, and from many other continents to give public lecture to our students. Our distinguished alumni from different parts of the world also give significant contribution on the same thing, that is for giving public online seminar, conference, as well as public lectures. This year, we have one full professorship under the International Association of Law School Program from Nigeria, Professor Olatunbosun. The process before he decided to come to Universitas Erlangga to apply for visa application was uneasy. And you know that he has to travel 3 times for his home institution, for his home cities, to capital city for applying visa to come to Indonesia. It was very difficult and very hard to apply visa, 3 times rejected. With the significant effort to get visa, unfortunately, after the visa granted, it was impossible for him to come to Surabaya because Surabaya is closed for flight from different countries to come to Surabaya. Then we have to think on how to make this lecture still happening and still can get advantage for our student. Then we asked him to give lecture on online several times without visa, cheap and easy. Thus, I think this is a part of opportunity that Dr. Hartini mentioned. This is an opportunity for us to do many things online. It is very possible. It depends only for our commitment, whether we want to do it or not. Training with 15 lectures on legal ethics, integrity and rule of law from the University of Maastricht also conducted online. Last time we decided to come to the Netherlands for this training, and in the last few minutes it was cancelled. Our flight 20 what we call is a ticket cancelled for this because the government set up the policy that it is very impossible for us to go oversize in April, in last April, and then the training is conducted online, so it is cheap, easy, and everything is possible in the context of access to knowledge and deliverable material. But how about other campus activities? As we realize that activities in campus is not only just teaching and delivering knowledge, transfer knowledge to our students in transformative ways, but we also have another commitment. How about the administrative job that we have to accomplish, and how we should create academic atmosphere that we have to maintain. I think one of this way is through doing this webinar. You know that under the rectal rule, the collaboration must still continue to be established. The faculty targets, key performance indicators must also be fulfilled by the end of this year. And therefore, we must adjust and revise our key performance indicators or our targets. Which target that we can achieve by this year, which that cannot, and which activities that we must revise, which activities that we have to change, and which activities that we cannot change. Next semester, we are entering into the new normal condition. But given the condition of Surabaya that I mentioned earlier, it is honestly very, very unsafe. So it is also very unlikely that we will ask the student to attend the class like normal in the normal ways. Because of that, next semester, lectures still be done, will be conducted online, and the University Minister of Education already issued the policy that online teaching and learning is until the end of this year. So I think it is similar with the policy of Malaysia until the end of this year. It is hoped that in the next semester, innovation of lectures learning by using online media will be more sophisticated, more varied, more attractive for students. Lecturer and students are familiar with classes and online media, and of course, students are more sophisticated. That we are expected from this because we already getting used in the last semester. Participant of this webinar, but how about the assessment? How about the exam? In the last semester, all exam was conducted through online procedure and process, including dissertation defense for PhD, thesis defense, and also scriptsy. I mean the last exam, paper exam for those who are going to complete a Bachelor of Laws. And sadly also that the graduation this month will also conducted through online. This is probably the reason why our students don't want to be graduate this semester. Yeah, they try to postpone the graduation in the next semester because probably they feel that it is, different with the real graduation in which we can celebrate in a happy situation, we accompanied by parents and our family with many congratulations. But because the graduation for this month is conducted through online process, so just only few of our students who want to graduate in this semester. Participant of this conference, what about the other three Dharma? In Indonesia, a university has three Dharma. What they call is three Dharma is three commitments. The first is education, second is about research, and the third is about social commitment. And these three dharma is obligated to all lecturers as well as the student, to all civitas academica of our campus. And also, how about the student activities, student body, student senat, and etc. And how about the curriculum? Honestly, that in the context of curriculum, we just revised our curriculum around 1.5 years ago to adapt with the fourth industrial revolution, in which during the industrial revolution, we realized that the role of lawyer are not going to be replaced by robot and artificial intelligence. So we are moving forward on how to adjust our curriculum to adapt with new situation, on how to provide our students with the best skill that they have after graduate from our campus to be a professional lawyer, in which they can be work as lawyer well in professional ways, investing the word that that's very difficult to predict in precise ways, because the technology are developing so massively, and many people also affected by this situation. And now we are facing a new different thing, that is pandemic. And we like or dislike, we also need to revitalize our curriculum again to adjust with these new challenges facing this COVID-19 in the context of legal education. As Professor Hartini mentioned, that we would not back into the normal again after this. And I believe that some of activities that we has been done during this pandemic will also still exist after we enter into the normal situation. Let's move to what is another three dharma. For research, for example, the research, we still can do research with the limited time available, but the research method, we must adjust it. It is still uneasy to use social legal approach by taking field data, but for normative legal research is still possible. Thus, we have to change our method of research. While for community services, the method and format of community services must also be changed, because it's still impossible to gather a large number of people in certain place, and then we provide them a direct legal consultant. The idea of providing an understanding and socialization of the law through online media or online course and training for people need to be followed up on. But we must find a targeted audience who knows, can use internet technology, and this is usually rather difficult in Indonesian context, because majority of our social commitment are conducted with villagers in the remote areas and communities. As I mentioned earlier, for the next semester, online teaching is still continue, and we maintain our administrative at a full capacity to support range of services, not only for teaching, but also for other activities. Seminar, public discussion is still running every day through webinar, student activities also by using online, food court also online. Last time our student the winner of national round in the Philip Jessup competition in the last April, but unfortunately they cannot they cannot come to the DC, because that United States of America also locked down due to pandemic, and we just only send the document online. And the assessment of this Philip Jessup food court competition are conducted online. And yeah, we are fortunate our student won a prize as it in the 14th 14th position. And to conclude my presentation, before I conclude my presentation, I would like also to share our, our happiness that yeah, we are a little bit happy because under the QS World University ranking just published last week, our ranking are increasing. We are sit in the 520, and we are in the internationally and at the national position, we are sit in the 4th position after University of Gajah Mada, University of Indonesia, and University of Institute of Technology Bandung, and then in the 4th position as Universitas Airlangga.
Ibu Nurul,
yes.
I'm sorry, could you please make it a bit shorter? We run out of time. Sorry.
Yeah. To conclude my presentation, I would like to say that this COVID pandemic has really changed mode of teaching and learning. Not only about that, but also face our legal education also change. From conventional one into alternative mode of teaching by using technology. And doing this automatically and coincidentally, we are already moved into what we call smart campus. Digitalization in all aspects of our academic life, e-learning, e-administration, e-payment, and electronic for everything. Trust me that this digitalization on all aspects of academic life and administration will continue to be used after the end of the pandemic. Despite some weaknesses, it effective, efficient to certain cases. Although, as the character of legal education is to provide practical competency for students to be future lawyer, as a professional lawyer in which some of that practical thing cannot be continued or conducted online. During this pandemic, the fact also showed that we did many good things. We feel all the opportunity that granted for this pandemic by using technology available, such as lecture exchange program, without necessary to come to our countries and to our partner with expensive budget for air flight and visa application, which show us the way that cooperation, transfer of knowledge still can be conducted and maintained with limited budget available. And because of that, why don't we continue looking for other activities, thinking outside the box, do transformative things that can be conducted online to not only to fulfill our target or key performance indicator, but also to engage into meaningful discussion and support academic life. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for our two wonderful panelists here, our main speaker. Both our speakers already present about how the condition during the pandemic COVID and post-pandemic COVID and the idea how to face the next future to the other pandemic, probably if there is any other situation just like this time, just like this pandemic. And the next session, we will be in a Q&A session, question and answer. We have several questions in our chat box actually, and as I short, it's mostly from a student. Probably the student is the actor that very affected by this pandemic. The first question is from Akbar Rizky Pratama. And what would be the biggest challenge as fresh graduates of the student of law in this COVID pandemic? Are there many new skill requirements that they need to have? Probably both Dean can answer the question. Associate Professor Hartini, you may answer the question.
Thank you, Indah. Thank you for the question. I think it was a very good question. I I wanted to deal with that further just now, but I didn't have much time. This is very important for any law students to know, particularly the final year students or the graduating students. What are the additional skills or what are the additional core competencies that you must have before you actually land yourself at the legal industry? Now, apart from the traditional traits, what we call traditional skills, so what are the traditional core competencies of law graduates? We are talking about communication skills, we are talking about research skills, we are talking about collaboration skills, we are talking about hard work. Now, these are traditional skills. You know, these are basically core competencies that must be acquired by the graduates. So on top of these traditional traits, personally, I think based on my discussions with the industry, there are 4 additional skills that must be equipped by or acquired by the students when they work later at the legal industry. Number 1 is basically entrepreneurship skills. Now, those days, back then, we always call ourselves as lawyers. We are lawyers, we are solicitors, advocates and solicitors, but the new pathway of the legal job market has actually faded the focus of the term lawyers itself. So the new pathway of the legal job market is to create an entrepreneur. So I think as much as we thought that we are lawyers, another important skills that we must prepare ourselves before we land our feet to the legal industry is the entrepreneurship skills. And I believe Universitas Erlangga and we at UITM, we have provided several mechanisms for us to directly and indirectly prepare our students to have this entrepreneurship mindset. So the term legalpreneur is very much close to lawyers nowadays. So employers, when they want to employ employees or any law graduates, one of the skills that they want to know and it will be a plus point for a graduate to have is basically entrepreneurship skill. Now, another skill that I thought is a must for any graduate to have is technological affinity. That is, we must make sure that to a certain extent we are technology savvy. Not to say that we are master in using high-tech platforms, but we have to be resourceful. We have to know what are the platforms, and to a certain extent, we have to know how to use it. Now, this is going to be another plus point, an added value of the graduates if you have these technological affinity skills. And of course, any employers nowadays would love to have employees who are resilient and creative. I think resilience and creativity are 2 important attributes that any graduates must have in view of the fact that it's going to be very challenging for our graduates at least in the next 1 or 2 years. I really hope that I answered that question. Thank you, Indah.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ibu Hartini. Ibu Nurul, could you please also address the question?
Yeah, I think also question from Akbar Rifki Pratama is very good question, and Bu Hartini already answered the questions very well. I have the same perspective with her because you know that in this situation of facing this COVID-19 pandemic, when the student graduate from the law school in this era, it is honestly that very they are will facing difficult situation. We thought, you know, that have a new skill that the student should have. The reason for this is that we see the fact that many companies are closed, and many of them send to home their employees, and you know that the workplace is also limited. So as I agree with Ibu Hartini that entrepreneurship is one of the skill that the student must has in this context, and in beside core competence that we already set up in the Faculty of Law, I think we share the same thing about capacity to communicate, capacity of leadership, to do collaboration, hard work, able to work in stressful condition or something like that. And in addition to the entrepreneurship capacity or skill or experience, students also has like innovative mind or innovative thinking, and it's not only like that, but also critical thinking is still needed for that student. And the last thing, I also agree with Professor Hartini, the capacity to use technology. As now we cannot live without technology. So I think I already answered that question.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Nurul, for the answer. The next question is from Ibu Jani, the lecturer of Faculty of Law, Universitas Erlangga. Ibu Jani, I just summarized the question because it's a bit a long question. Because the pandemic is not prepared, so basically the student not prepared to follow all the online class. Consider the online class is totally different with the learning on the class. How the center learning is going to be implemented in online? So basically there is two questions. How faculty prepare the student to follow the online class because they're not prepared before. And the second question, how to implement it, the center learning, student center learning in online class. Probably Ibu Nurul want to answer the question first?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you Bu Yani. Halo, apa kabar? Lama kita tidak bertemu. Semoga Bu Yani dan keluarga sehat-sehat ya. Bu Yani, your question is a very excellent question. That how to prepare on online class while the student are not, have not well prepared to enter into the online class. I think this is the role of lectures on how we manage our student well. There is a certain number of what we call is rencana pembelajaran, outline or planning of our teaching and learning process in every course that we should deliver it to our student. And then we shall also inform to our student before the class. Probably a week before the class, we already send it many what we call is material, our presentation, our PowerPoint, our discussion material, and everything that the student need to know and need to understand about what the topic that we are going to discuss during the online class. And I did well in the last few months in our international trade law class. And then the students are very engaged and active and participate in the class very well. because we prepare the subject with all the student about the role of place during the teaching online or something like that. And it is I think the role of lecture on how to make student awaken. Yeah. If, for example, we can say to some I has experience to see that some students when do online class they did not show their face, yeah, but just only their kitten or their dog or something like that. I said that I don't want you to do like that. We have to set up the rule. Then you have to active and engage. Another thing as the student, for that, a class should be decided into small class. And this is that we are going to prepare in the next semester, that the class have to be in the small class. So it is enable our student to engage fully in the discussion, and the student can be as a student-centered learning. And we can also create many opportunity for the student. We can raise a question to the student or something like that. But of course, a student must learn the subject before they enter the class. The student should have like a basic knowledge before enter into the class. I think we need this is the role of lecture for this contact is important on how to has like able to affect or able to influence the student in such a way so that the student can participate well into the online class, in the online class. Thank you very much.
Guru, for the answer. Probably Ibu Hartini wants to add some more, or probably you have other concern regarding the question?
Yeah, I totally agree with Dr. Nurul. I think lecturers play an important role in executing this online learning agenda. And we at UITM, I think that's why one of the pillars in Education 5.0 at UITM is to have an inspiring educators. So when educators or lecturers are the one who play a very significant role in class, we believe that eventually the students would understand what it takes, for us to go through the online learning. But more importantly, one thing that we have to also bear in mind is that when we first move to online learning or shift ourselves 100% to online learning, in April, if we're talking about us in UITM, and we are still in the midst of the semester, we were not really sure, whether what we did last time or what we started was right or wrong. And that was the reason why in my presentation, we call that phase what we call crisis management stage. So we have this crisis and we just have to face the crisis and manage and continue to provide services and our best legal education to our students. So at that time, to be honest, we were very worried as to the level of preparation of not only our students, but also we lecturers, taking into account that we law lecturers, we have very minimal technical knowledge, and for us to just jump the gun and did everything online, it was very challenging. But taking into account that that was a crisis management stage, I thought that all of us berkat usaha komitmen bersama-sama, I thought all of us, all stakeholders, lecturers, students, we did very well embracing the pandemic and faced the pandemic and went through the crisis management stage. Of course, when we go to, as we enter the new semester in October, things will be different because we have more time for preparation And we lecturers, we have gone through this semester. This is the most difficult time for all of us. And we hope that when we enter the next semester, things are going to be better. And for our students to also get used to this new normal in legal education. So as to answer how to make sure students are prepared, as far as these semesters are concerned, or sorry, as far as this semester is concerned, when we started, we were not sure, but Alhamdulillah, due to solid commitment of all of the ecosystem, I think we are coping well now. But of course, the next semester, when the semester starts in October, we have to make sure our students are more prepared in order to achieve the learning outcome. Thank you, Indah.
Thank you for the answer for both our speaker. Actually, we still have several questions in the chat box and it's very tiny. It makes me pitching my eyes to read the question. But I need to short a bit different from other question. It's from Nurul Jana. Could you please both speaker enlighten the participant how regarding the staff and student mobility? That's the question actually. Ibu Nurul, could you want to address it first, or probably Ibu Saripah? Ibu Hartini, do you want to address it?
Okay, up to you.
Oh, okay. Ibu Hartini, please.
Thank you, Dr. Nurul. This was a very interesting question. I think in my opening speech just now, I said that this pandemic has actually pushed and re-navigate the concept of international collaboration. So in the era of pandemic, we have to be creative in fulfilling this inspiration and execute our international collaboration. We must not make this pandemic stop our international initiative. And we at UITM, we have had a very serious discussion with our Office of International Affairs, and we have actually redefined and reshaped the concept of international collaboration, which also include virtual collaboration. So something like this is perhaps, you know, along the line of international collaboration. And as far as student mobility is concerned, I think when I said let's turn threats and dangers to opportunities, I really meant it. When all law schools are actually transforming our teaching and learning online, that actually opened doors as wide as possible for all of us to venture into this. So regardless our geographical boundaries, that will not stop us to learn and to take subjects from our partner universities, because everything is online. My master student, she is currently in Sri Lanka, and we are having a great a session in our online classes. So I thought that let us use this opportunity and let us turn these threats into opportunity. And by having online classes, this is we are opening our floodgate to have more international collaboration after this. And when it comes to staff exchange or staff mobility, I know that previously we physically went to our partner university, but I think this is the time where we can actually amplify the number of collaborations by having so many online sessions with our partners. Just now, Dr. Nurul has highlighted a webinar series from experts all over the world, and these situations are actually the same with us in UITM, where we encourage our lecturers to virtually reach as far as they can. They can actually go to any jurisdictions, you know, in the world. And that is what I meant by turning threats and dangers to opportunities. Thank you, Indah.
Sorry. Ibu Nurul, could you please
Yes.
address the question as well?
Yeah, I have to enlighten the participant about the staff and student mobility, and I do agree with what already answered by Professor Hartini. Actually, for student and staff mobility is one of the big challenges that we are facing now. But because honestly, the idea for student exchange, student mobility, and like a lecture exchange, lecture mobility, is not just only about teaching and learning certain subject or certain aspect of laws, but we also need to have experience about academic life in different jurisdictions, different countries, so can enrich our knowledge, our horizon about different different law, different institution, and different academic life, so we can get many experience in that context to broaden our knowledge. And facing this situation, it is very difficult on how to do it in normal ways. And as I told earlier in my presentation, that we can adjust this situation by by using technology as we can, by using technology available that we can use in our campus or in our daily life, by using, like, for example, seminar online, webinar, series or something like that. It can be categorized as a student, it can categorize as a staff exchange or lecture exchange program. And because of this, we adjust our key performance indicator and our policies within the university and the faculty itself. Like, for example, in the context of academic mobility, if we give a series of seminar or public lecture or lecturing more than 3 times in our institution partner, so it can be accounted or it can be deemed as academic mobility or staff outbound. And in the context of student mobility, I believe that between us already provide some what we call is online courses and online training program directed from a student in the certain level of semester, for example, like that. And then student can enter and enroll in that. Student from partner university can enroll in that program. And there is, of course, assessment or something like that in that program, whether in the form of online training or series of seminar for student. It can be deemed as a student mobility, but we have to fulfill certain hour for that. And we already set up the rule. I forget how many hours because the rule is just set up yesterday, and we are still, discussing between the in the level of faculty is already finished, but in the level of university, we has to, what we call is adjust our condition, but also what we call is a financial assistance of given by the university on how a student can has capacity to enroll in the like online class or something like that. So I think it is part of our duties now on how to encourage all of us to do the right thing, to use this opportunity as we can to improve our knowledge, our capacity, because if we just stay at home and did nothing, so it will also, disadvantage, because all people also move and increase their capacity. So we have to do the same thing. I think that the answer that I can give.
We actually run out of time, but I will read only one question from one of our chat box from Nurul Sakinah Fikri. Would the potential new pedagogy for a legal education should online learning stays call for re-evaluation of assessing the quality of law students? If yes, how to ensure that the industry is aligned with the renewed assessment of quality? A very heavy question, to be honest. Ibu Nur, would you mind to address first?
Yeah. Thank you very much for this difficult question, but I trust that I can answer it. Re-evaluation. Some of us said that online teaching, online learning is completely different with what we call is conventional one, teaching in the class. Student can be a center of learning or something like that. And you know that they also said that it has a significant impact to the quality of our graduate. If this teaching process still continue to happen until we don't know when, that probably yes, but it can be also be challenged with that such argument, because even we realize honestly that it all I said, it depends on the student itself, on how they engage actively into the teaching learning process online, and also lecture itself. And the role of the campus, the faculty, is also play a pivotal role in this context. At campus, we have the quality assurance unit, which have to ensure that the lecture deliver material in right ways, in line, in accordance with the expected learning outcome. We did not change our expected learning outcome yet. So the expected outcome is still continue. Still exists. The only change is the method of transferring our knowledge. So this need commitment among us. It's not only lecturer but also student as well. Yeah, student also have to raise a question and asking the lecturer and seeing also the answer for different area. It's not only for the lecture, but because we can use everything by technology now, and we do also has evaluation by the end of the semester. Like for example, what the Faculty of Law Erlangga did, we assess what the problem with this learning for every single course, for every single subject matter. We examine it in the mid of semester, in the by the end of the semester. We have to ensure that the material are delivered well to the student, but of course there are some of lecture that disobey with this, so that why the student also worry. And I believe that through procedure of evaluation, we can control the quality of our graduate. And I believe that in this context, the student still has capacity to face into workforce well. That are my answers.
Probably Ibu Hartini, do you want to add something or any concerns about how pedagogic applied in online learning in IUTM?
Thank you, Indah. Thank you, Nuruz. Nuruz is actually one of the lecturers.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, would the new pedagogy, including online learning, call for a re-evaluation of assessing the quality of law students? Now, my approach is that when we talk about quality of law students, it requires, it is actually a combination of not only good curriculum, effective assessment, but also there are other factors to produce law students or to produce law graduates who are equipped with the core competencies that are required by the industry. And these include not only how our curriculum is being delivered, because when we talk about online learning, that is only the method of how curriculum is being delivered to our students. And of course, online learning must also be mapped with the assessments, which we actually are doing that at UITM. But when we talk about quality, to nurture good quality of law graduates, that actually requires a very holistic ecosystem. We require an effective online learning, effective assessment, but we also require the ambience and the and other ecosystems. For example, to what extent engagement within the industry is being made by the faculty. And that goes to the second question, how to ensure the industry is aligned with this renewed assessment of quality. Now, engagement with the industry is very important, and that's the very reason why even though we are having 100% online learning, but we have to provide additional knowledge that students cannot get within the four walls of the classroom, knowledge that they need from the industry. So I think a series of discussions with the industries is very important, and how we actually rope in captains of the industry into our ecosystem at the faculty is also very important to make sure that the quality of our graduates is actually of certain good standard. So to answer the first question, should online learning call for re-evaluation of assessing the quality of law students? I think the answer is online learning calls for re-evaluation of the assessment of the courses. But to say that it calls for re-evaluation of assessing the whole quality of law students is quite subjective, because assessing the quality of law students require more than just online learning or assessment of the courses. It is actually the ecosystem and how law schools provide an environment that could actually nurture good core competencies to our students. Thank you, Indah.
Okay. Because we at the end of our intended seminar hour, it's beyond actually intended seminar hour. I won't make a conclusion or the result from our discussion today, but based on what already informed by the speakers, it shows us how higher education, particularly higher legal education in Airlangga University, Universitas Airlangga and University Teknologi Mara, deal with the challenging situation during and the future planned to face pandemic COVID-19. Lastly, thank you for all two wonderful speakers today. Ibu Nurul Barizah, PhD, thank you. And Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan, thank you. For the committee, Bapak Kuku, also thank you. And for the participant, all the participants for attending the webinar. And as moderator, I apologize if there is any something that probably inappropriate in any matters. Then I will give back the ceremony back to the MC. Aisyah, please.
Thank you, Bu Indah. Thank you to both our speakers for today. It was indeed a very informative session, and with it, we have all gotten a glimpse into legal education in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Before we end, I would like to express my utmost heartfelt gratitude to the organizers from both the universities. Thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope that you have a pleasant day ahead. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Nurul.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See you again in our next session. Thank you.
Makasih Bu Hartini.
Here we meet again, ya.
Makasih semuanya.
We meet again.
We can meet physically.
Yeah.
We pray that everything will go back to normal soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank
Saya
you,
pamit
Dr. Hartini.
Oh, Hartina pamit.
Thank you very much for the speaker, Ibu Nurul, Ibu Hartini.
Sama-sama.
Thank you very much for Aisyah and
Semua.
Sama-sama. Thank you.
Nanti keadaan sudah selamat, jemput ke UITM ya.
Insya Allah Bu, siap Bu.
Saya pamit dulu Ibu. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Saya leave meeting ya. Okey, Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih Ibu.
Thank you, Pak Kuku and team.
Thank you Bu Nadia, thank you Aisyah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.